Hello, I have a question here.
Okay.
First of all,
Before you say, I think the people in the central have problem with microphone, no? Oh, yes. So you have microphone here and there, not in the... Okay.
I'm going to take the conversation in a bit different direction. First of all, I'm not a parent or a teacher, I'm a student. And today I'm here as part of Bulgarian School Students Union. And the thing I haven't heard of you is about, do you have school student unions in your countries and in your schools? Is there a schools council, students council? Because here I can see a lot of students that want to express themselves, want to be active and want to do things for other students. Is there something like that in your country where students can meet, create a council and do things about other students in level of the school and a national level? Thank you.
I'm not sure about the national level, but we have it on the level of the city itself. Each school has something which is called speaker. The students have speakers, and they also go to meetings of all the school speakers in the city. And in our school we have a bit similar thing. Each group has speakers, one boy and a girl, and they meet with the speakers of the other groups. And then we have for the whole school again one boy and a girl who will go to the meetings which take part for the whole city.
Yes, every country I think have national or city in Israel is a city and national movement. I don't think that they do a lot. Most of them do what teachers tell them to do. Because in every head of this union stand a teacher that help them to organize, but he bring them the ideas. We have a lot of idea of what to do, but I tell you what we have in Israel, and it's something very interesting. We have young hackers, and they play games with the government, and that's fantastic. I give you example. We have matriculation exams, you know, the final exams. I think now 2 years, a week before the exams, it's becoming the Facebook, the exams. And that's will become the first year. That was, they publish, the hacker get inside the computer of the Department of Education, get the exams and publish it. I think it's wonderful. This is really to get inside involved in what happened in our education. And a year later, we work all the Department of Education, stop the hackers. So they do a lot of things that the hackers cannot get to their computers. So a week before the test, again, it's published. And that's, I think, wonderful. Because it's something that connects to the reality of what we are living. And I tell you what, before I was here, we have a conference 2 weeks ago with Sugata Mitra, if you know, and Ken Robinson and me. 3 of us. And we asked the question, what a small thing that can make a big change, especially about tests. And Sugata Mitra give an answer that I think it's a brilliant answer. He say, one thing that can change everything, let's make all the exams with free internet. And think about this. What it means to today make exam with closed internet. All our kids will need to deal in their life in open internet. So why to do it with closed internet? So, and think about what will happen if we will need to do exams with free internet. We need to think what we can ask, because we need to ask questions that you cannot find the answer in Google. And that's very interesting. Why to ask questions that we can't find in Google? So we need to go to the big question. And people need to deal with the idea of big question. You, all of us, deal today with the big question. How it needs to be education in the future. It's a big question. You cannot make Google how it will be education in the future, and Google will give you an answer. So, and that's the beautiful that need to be the future of education. And in this point, I think the youth have a very big step, because they understand today the future a little bit more than most of us. And then they can be our guide. And I think what the hacker do with the situation in Israel, they open the eyes. Okay, they publish, so maybe we can do the exams in a different way, because the old way is not working. And so, and that's the way I think that we need to involve young people, and not by build them something that controlled by the adults and do the same results that we know that it's tradition from year to year to year to year. So thank you.
I would like to share some of my fears with you about democratic education, and this some of the questions show it. I think we all have them, and maybe because we were raised in the traditional schools, we are somehow used to expect correct answers and working models, and that's why we keep on asking you. What's the right model for us, how to create it. And here we meet with lots of opposition from the administration and also from the whole society with these new ideas. So that's why it seems so difficult to start the whole thing, to create the democratic school, and keep on asking ourselves how could it work, will it work, and what should we do to make it work. So I ask you, when you left school and when you started the process with the democratic schools, did you have your fears, and how did you find the courage to overcome them and to make it after all? Because you said you have traditions in accepting new ideas over 2,000 years ago. Here we are maybe a little bit more conservative, so that's why the democratic ideas in the school come right now and not many years ago, maybe. So what are the words of support you can tell us so that we can overcome this and finally realize it? And the question is for both of you.
For both, if it's for both, I think the difference of the background is maybe not so big as you think, because in Germany still the alternative schools are also one niche thing. And even when I talk to other parents who send their children to state schools, they ask me stuff, hey, why are you doing this? I mean, you spend all this time, you are cleaning the floors of the school, and you go there on your weekends to build something, and you pay money on top of this. Are you completely stupid? And I myself, I also went to a school where people were asked to sit, like you so nicely say, on a chair and mostly listen to what the teachers have been saying. And I think I was a lot bored there. I didn't have problems, but I was a lot bored, and I could have used my time a lot better. And I only like to go there because my friends were there. So I didn't resent it, but it was like normal. I didn't know that there could be any other kind of school. And when I had children myself, and I started to see the parent initiative kindergartens, and that there are schools which are different, I thought, hey, I would have liked to go to such a place. And I decided that my children should go to such a place, and then I just started to do it, one step by the next, and you get into it. And of course, sometimes I also ask myself, why do I have, because I'm in the board, why do I have sometimes weeks where I have 3 meetings per week in the evening? And so I leave my younger daughter with my bigger daughter to put her to bed. And I sometimes think, oh, I'm so tired, and why I'm doing this? But then when I see how the school is alive and how the children profit from it, I think I know why.
I also afraid for a lot of time. But what helped me, I tell you all, what helped me, I don't know, everyone need to see what helped. To me, in the beginning, what helped very strongly, it was to read books. I read a lot. As I say to you, as a child, I have problem to read and write. And in the moment that I left school, in this moment, I begin to read books. Because the first book that I read in my life, it was the book of Janusz Korczak, if you know him, How to Love Children. And it was by lucky, because I left school, I was in the Scouts, and the guide in the Scouts tell me, Yaakov, you need to read Janusz Korczak. And when I read Janusz Korczak, I was shocked. I was, wow, he also think like me? Because it was to me a symbol, it's a big symbol, Janusz Korczak in Israel. And the doctor, think like me? And from Janusz Korczak, I begin to read Neil of Summerhill, and then I begin to read Carl Rogers, Freedom to Learn, and I begin to read a lot of books. And books give me power, because I understand that I am not alone in the world. Some people think like me. And that's give me a lot of power. Later, when it's become internet, it's become easier, because I can go to conference like this conference. I think this conference give you power and give me our power, because this conference give power to everyone that involved in this conference. And when I think what happened, you maybe read my book, and now you see me and we talk. So it's become like something that go and, oh, it's not only a book, stories, it's a man there. And then some people say to me, oh, maybe we will come to Israel and be a little bit in your school. It can be. Yes, but of course it can be. So, and that's also happened to me. I hear about Sudbury Valley School in Boston and say, okay, I will go to Boston. And I go to Boston. So that's procedure. I think that we begin to know one another, and it's not something far away. Oh, we know here in German they have school like this, and here in Denmark they have school like this, or in Japan they have school like this. So what I tell you about the movement here, that you need to connect one another, we do it internationally. We have a lot of connection, and we know one another, people that around the world, and we work together. And that gives us a lot of energy and less afraid. Because, yeah, when you are alone, it's afraid. It's very afraid to be alone. And I think that togetherness is something very important.
Okay, it's my turn now. Thank you. My name is Gala, and I want my kid to study in free or democratic school, and I believe this will happen soon in Bulgaria. I'm pretty sure in that. But I want to put another issue here, the money issue. Because, you know, I mean, it's very good. For example, Parents Cooperative started in Bulgaria, but they're all private, you know. There is no state support to this. And it was very optimistic because in recent interview, the Minister of Education in Bulgaria said that the private schools should not expect state support because they have responsibility only to the pupils in the state schools, because it's only like a parent's choice to give alternative to their kids. But you see, I mean, only the kids in the state schools are their responsibility. So it's kind of like double standard, you know, because according to the constitution, we all have common rights, and like we all pay tax, etc. You know, I mean, no point to explain this. So my appeal to you is like to share with us how did you manage to get this state support, because it's very important to us. Thank you.
In Germany, because we are a federal republic, each state has its own laws because they all are sort of independent regarding education. So we have areas in Germany where the independent schools, they get 100% funding from the state, like they get the same money which they get per pupil which a state school gets, and other areas where it's like a lot less. In our area, we get around 80%. Yeah, it sounds great and it's good because otherwise we wouldn't really. It would be a lot of effort to get all this money from some fundraising activities because the parents couldn't really cover this anymore. But on the other hand, I think it's sort of illegal. I mean, actually, the state cannot say that a pupil who goes to our school saves money for the state. And this is the current situation. Everybody who goes our direction, they save money on this kid. And it's not okay, because the thing is not that by making a choice how the children should learn, I'm making the choice to pay for it myself. We are just creating other possibilities. We are creating diversity. We are creating different ways to achieve education. And I believe this is still the responsibility of the state to pay for this education, at least the same amount of money which are paid to the state schools, which is not the case actually. And I think so far there have been discussions in this general association in Germany if we should do legal procedures against the state, because on the other hand, in the basic law, it's stated that the schools themselves, they are not allowed to only to take pupils whose parents can afford it. On the other hand, if we don't receive the same money, we are forced to take school fees, so there's sort of a problem there. I have some hope on the actually on the European right, that maybe if somewhere something starts, that one can find a bigger solution, that there's going to be some kind of intervention, that this situation cannot continue in this way.
I agree, and I think that in the human rights and the human rights, how we call it? Commission? No, convention. It's one of we have 3 laws about education, and one of them that education need to be free, free of paying. And I think this is one of the goals of democratic education. That democratic education, everyone that will want democratic education can get it free. But it's quite difficult. Also, in Israel today, we get more than 100%. The democratic school we get 120%, because we do if in Israel you do something different, you get more money. Yeah, this is the law in Israel. But also with the 120%, it's not free. And the children, parents need to pay a little bit. But I think the goal, and today we work a lot with the government in Israel, the goal is that the democratic school will be free and open to everyone. This is the goal. We need to do it all over the world in trying to do it. And I see these groups that try to do it, and that's something very, very important. I want to answer a question about the fear. I forgot that you say something that I want to go back this. It's about the government, your government, Bulgarian government, that say, what happened if we do? We will be not so successful if we do democratic education. So now you are very successful, yeah? You are great in PISA, you are great in the economy, and the society is blooming. So first of all, I want to say that I think PISA is not important. I will let's think that Bulgaria today will be number 1 in the world in PISA. Okay? Now let's forget what happened. You are now number 1 in the world. Okay? You are before Finland, before Korea, before Singapore, before everyone. Bulgaria is number 1 in PISA. And all the other situation in Bulgaria is the same. Yeah? Nothing changed. You buy it? So, to me, to measure success is to see not in the PISA in the top. To measure success is to see that your economy is the best in the world, your society is the best in the world, you become the most creative country in the world. That's and people want to live in Bulgaria, and people from all the world want to move to Bulgaria, and that's can be success. It's not, you cannot check it by PISA or by other things. And if you ask me, you have a chance. Because you have a chance if you change dramatically the education system. And that's what I go out from this conference. I feel that you have the power to really make a change. To have the story, I give you the story now of the future of Bulgaria. It's an exotic story. You say it's impossible, but all the stories begin like this. You remember in 2040, it was a conference in this room about democratic education. I don't think if you remember when we go to the streets, people was without hope, and they feel that they don't know what will happen with Bulgaria. The economy was catastrophe. If you remember, in this time, in 2040, it was a joke, but it was reality. The Bulgarian country make a partnership with North Korea. You remember? And today, when we sit today, 20 years later, and we look from the eyes of 2034, and 2034, and we look outside Bulgaria, that is an unbelievable country. People from all the world want to get it. on all the newspaper, people are, what is the magic that happened in Bulgaria, that the economy becomes so strong, and also the proud, the people are so proud to be Bulgarian. Everywhere that I go in the world today, people talk about Bulgaria. So if this change will happen, we will know that we succeed. And it can happen. It's in your hand. It's in your hand, especially when you go to very deep area, the only way is to wake up. It's going up. And I hope you will succeed.
Още два последни въпроса и след това, понеже ние до сега говорим за децата в демократичното училище, какво правят те, какво не правят. Кайо. Киел и Лота ще представят начина, по който учат. Те са се подготвили заедно и ще разкажат за своят проект. Още два последни въпроса.
Аз съм представител на учителската общност и искам по-скоро да споделя нещо с нашите прекрасни събеседници. Чух нещо преди, когато на последната презентация, че господин Хехт и немската му колежка са се срещали с представители на Министерството на образованието, които са ви казали, че много разчитат промяната да започне от долу, т.е. от учителите. Значи от 20 и повече години очакваме промяна отгоре, която не се случва. Когато демократично мислещите и свободомислещите учители решат да направят нещо, което не е в синхрон с това, което се изисква отгоре, те си навличат само неприятности, биват уволнявани или са заплашвани. Говоря от личен опит. И искам, ако на тръгване минете пак да се вземете довиждане с Министерството на образованието, да им кажете, че това, което са ви казали, не е вярно.
I want to say like this. If what they say true or not true is really not important. It's not important. You know, I don't know how to say it in English. But people that make the change, the first rule to make a change, the first rule is that you don't ask permission from no one. This is the first. If you ask permission, you don't make a change. Someone else will make the change. That's the man that you ask him permission. So it's very important to understand this. If a lot of time people ask me, where the change begin? In the Minister of Education, in the inspectors, in the principals, in the teachers, in the student. Okay, the change begin, and now I tell you it's a secret, please don't move it to no one. It's a secret, okay? Change begin with people that make the change. Not with people that give us permission. Because if I ask permission, I ask someone above me permission, he make the change. So I can make permission, but then I don't make a change. I give him the power to make the change. So, and who have the best chance to make the change? The Prime Minister, the ministers, the teachers, the student. Someone that have enough brave to begin the change. It can be student. Student can change dramatically the school. And we have some examples of children that make things that change the school. It can be that principal make change. But and it can be minister that make it the change. But everyone, and that's very important, that make the change, they make a change, take a risk. Take a huge risk. Because if I'm a minister and I make the change and the change will fail, I will fail. And the same as a teacher. If I make a change and the change will fail, I will fail. So it's not so easy not to ask a permission. But if you really want to make a change, you need to make a change. To build your class different. That will make waves. Maybe your headmaster will say to you, it's impossible. Stop it. What are you doing? You don't ask me permission. And different things like this. But if you do something in your class and you make your class work differently, and your class will work differently than all the other class, people will come to see it. And when they see it, they say, oh, you try to do this? Let's try again, also us. And that's like a viral, can change everything. Especially if you have good ideas. Good ideas have the potential of viral potential. And they can move by themselves. So, I know what you say. You say, Yaakov, you don't understand Bulgarian culture. Yeah, I know, I hear it clear. You don't understand Bulgarian culture. It's not working here. Maybe in Israel, maybe in German, but it's not working here, Yaakov. You need to understand. We are very hierarchic society. But I need to tell you, I sit with German people in the conferences, and they say to me the same. Yaakov, you cannot understand, you come from Israel, you cannot understand German. German is very hierarchic, especially I was in Bavaria. So they tell me, you cannot understand Bavaria, it's not working like this. And they want to build a democratic school. And I tell you what I tell them. We make a deal. we do like this. And I say to them, I will come to Bavaria. You want to build a democratic school in Bavaria? I will come. I will come to 2 days. And we finish these 2 days and you will have license of to build a democratic school. And it sounds, when I say now this story, it sounds that I'm proud. No, I don't say it's to say that I'm proud, or I don't know to say Yair. Arrogante. It's not. It's something that I feel strongly that everyone can do. And I tell him, I came to Bavaria, and they make me a meeting with the Minister for Education, that they say that he doesn't talk with me, he don't talk with me. So I say to them, okay, tell them that, make a meeting. And what we done, we say that God exists in the small things. We learn together, we met a day before the meeting, and we learn the strategic idea of Bavaria. And we learn the details of what the Bavaria education system want to achieve. And we come to this meeting and we show them very logical why democratic schools will support what they want to support. And then we succeed. So you will say now, okay, Yaakov, by lucky, the Bavaria strategic was different. But here's not. But in this point, I will tell you that I was now 2 days here, and I met the people in the president, and I feel that we can do with them something. Especially, I tell you what I told them. I told them, let's come to a week to Israel. If they will come to a week to Israel, we can organize them a lot of meetings, that a lot of things that it's look like they cannot imagine, it can imagine. Second, I hear Gaia speech yesterday about the law of Bulgaria, and you have a very beautiful law. Let's play with him. Let's dance with him. And not come from the negative area that we go against the government. No. We come to be with you. We come with the government and try to change the situation of the education system. We go with the union organization of the teacher. We go with the principal. We go together and be very positive. And in this situation, I tell you that the change can be. It can be. I saw it all over the world. It can be.
Okay. Hi. What is the biggest challenge in building democratic or free school, and what is the first step to start it?
I think the first step is to find a few people who want to do it, and they get together and they exchange their ideas and what exactly they mean by a free or democratic school, and how they start in a sense to build a vision how it can be. And then probably the next step is to, in this being together, to see what can be done now, what can be done afterwards, to kind of see what are your resources, how much time do you have, are your children like 1 year old and you have like maybe 5 years until the school is supposed to start, or they are already 5 and you have only 1 year if you're doing it for your children. And then you try to do it in the time you have. You have also to see what time resources you have from your job, from your other things. And you can get more people. If you're 5 people, you can become 10 people or 15 or 100 people. And then with that, the resources also grow, and you have to talk more, of course. Because the more people you are, the more different ideas you have. And you have to talk about them.
So I said about the second step, because I agree, this is the first step. The second step is when you have the group, function with the group exactly what you think need to be function at school. So the best idea is to be close one another. So to go and recognize one another, be friends, go to one-to-one to the home of the other partners, recognize the families, become a community. I think a lot of time people ask me, why you build a school? And I give the answer that I build it to my kids. But you know, it's not the truth. You understand? The truth that I want to look for a friend for myself. And the idea was that I build the school, and people that think like me come to send their kids, and then we become friends all our life. So I have now friends for all my life. And that's the idea of the democratic school, you understand? But don't tell it to no one. It's a secret.
It should be. Before this, I would like to thank Jaco for the extremely fascinating...
So everyone that want to ask me, and I think Lillian also, you can write us or email or Facebook, and we will glad to answer you the answers. And also, if you have new answers, new questions, you're welcome. And thank you.